Now, I know I've said this many times, but I'll say it again, but The View is by far the absolute worst program to be on live television, especially via ABC / the Walt Disney Company, and how they use the hosts of The View like Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, and Whoopi Goldberg as political talking heads. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, one thing about all of the View hosts like Joy Behar, Whoopi Goldberg, and Sunny Hostin is that we all know that they are very vile in nature. They say some of the most toxic things out there that obviously contribute to the division within the United States and what's going on with this country right now. What's interesting, though, has a lot more to do with the fact of what's been going on both behind the scenes and in the public eye for Joy, Whoopi, and Sunny. Now, we know one thing about The View right now is that the ratings have been very erratic for the Walt Disney Company, and it's not just for The View, it's also for Jimmy Kimmel Live, it's also for Good Morning America, and other programs out there via the Walt Disney Company. Now, we know one thing for sure right now is that the hosts of The View are trying to do whatever they can to keep doubling down on their typical political agenda, their anti-Trump messaging campaign that is backfiring time and time again, and they just don't get it now, do they? Now, what's interesting here, though, has a lot more to do with exactly what happened to Joy, Whoopi, and Sunny toward a live audience and exactly how it led to their suspension from a series of episodes that are set to air by this November. Let's get into this. Now, what's interesting about all of this has a lot more to do with the fact that ABC executives and producers, as of right now, they are very desperate to get things back on track for The View, to get the ratings up a little bit more than they usually have been for the past, 6, 7, 8 weeks now. Now, with both the assassination of Charlie Kirk and the No Kings protest causing a number of celebrities to say some of the most ridiculous things yet about both Charlie Kirk and President Trump, one major development that is now going on involves more to do with the hosts of The View, Whoopi, Joy, and Sunny, where they were recently suspended surprisingly after a series of events took place just recently as well behind the scenes. Now, it turns out that ABC / Disney decided to hold a question and answer session with the audience of The View, both before and after the most recent taping took place, and not so shockingly, most of the questions to hosts like Joy, Whoopi, and Sunny were all politically driven. One audience member that asked a specific question set off a chain reaction that led to Sunny Hostin, get this, going off the rails and swearing at the audience. Involved how the question was about Sunny Hostin's husband and his case of fraud, and what her thoughts were when President Trump suggested an investigation more so toward her husband before in the past. Now, this question from the View audience member during the Q&A session led to a moment in time where Sunny Hostin dropped the F-bomb by saying, "This is not the effing time for that. Next question." This unexpected response led to another audience member surprisingly asking Joy Behar what her thoughts were on Greg Gutfeld calling her names on his show, Gutfeld, via Fox News, where Joy Behar answered, "I have no comment on that effing question. What are you, effing Fox News correspondent or something, in hiding?" The hosts of The View had then begged for more TV-related questions instead, and about different topics after the producers informed them to quickly change their tune, but the backlash was too late since the Q&A session. After the Q&A session, ABC producers and executives were actually forced to make a bold decision coming from the up and up over at the Walt Disney Company to suspend Sunny Hostin and Joy Behar from a series of episodes that are to be taped throughout the entire month of November, and to be replaced by other hosts temporarily. This will explain exactly why some future episodes in November by, of course, both Hostin and Behar will not be present. Now, guys, let me just stop there for 1 second. Now, it seems like that they really have a very, angry attitude toward the members of The View asking such direct questions, and you know what? This is their fault. This is Disney's fault. This is ABC's fault. They should have really seen this coming, because it is true that you are having now a lot of Republicans, a lot of, people that are supporting MAGA, supporting Trump, attending the actual show, The View. And For obvious reasons, they're going there to actually confront the host, to call out the host, and we've seen this happen twice before in the past. It led to a security measure, by the way, where they were no longer able to heckle, and they are taking, of course, different security measures before they even get people into the seats. But this was another major mistake on their part, alright? And if they didn't see this coming, then they truly are clueless and fools, because if you're going to have a Q&A session that is obviously not going to be pre-planned, you're expecting to have a lot of these questions. You should expect a lot of these questions to be placed. Now, though it's unclear if they will be absent simultaneously or on and off separately, the Q&A session surprisingly was a plan put together by Bob Iger weeks ago, and the Disney CEO himself, in order to become more personal with the audience, and it backfired completely since there are now more and more Republicans deciding to sign up for free tickets to see The View. ABC producers, however, and executives were forced to inform both Joy and Sunny about their suspension from a total of 10 episodes on and off throughout November that could also lead into very early December. In addition to this, though, as of now, Bob Iger and the Disney board, get this, are already deciding to slash funding effective immediately for The View and all of ABC's programming, since ratings are continuing to crash and burn. On top of that, Disney is already deciding to slash funding by over $10 million for the beginning of 2026, which points to the early talks of potentially transforming the show by 2027 with a whole new series of hosts and a new set. Now, let me say one thing about this. Now, we all remember when The View was a different program years and years ago. We're talking about well before Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, and how that is, where it is at right now. They are looking to do the very same exact thing in 2027, either for better or worse. Who knows what's going to happen there, but they are actually having serious talks right now of transforming The View by 2027. Now, slashing the funds, not just toward the last quarter of this year, but also the beginning of 2026, it's a major sign toward that happening in 2027, that big revamp of The View. Now, the fact that you had Sunny Hostin and Joy Behar dropping the F-bomb, once or twice here and there when they were actually asked those direct questions about Sunny Hostin's, husband and his case of fraud, and how Trump brought that up as well before in the past about how that should be looked into more, and about Greg Gutfeld constantly making jokes about her on his show, Gutfeld, via Fox News. That didn't sit too well with them at all. And look, like I said before, if they didn't see these types of questions coming, if they set up a Q&A session, that's all on Bob Iger, that's all on Joy Behar, Whoopi Goldberg, and Sunny Hostin for even agreeing to do that Q&A. They really have, no place to really argue with the fact that this could have been prevented if they really wanted to. So, look, I've said this many times, it's by far the worst program on television. The View has to go. I don't even think that they should revamp it with new hosts. If anything, they should just cancel this thing outright, put up a brand new show that actually is something entirely different, that just focuses away from politics, has no political talking heads, for example. Anyway, I would like to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.